Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mysteries of Hyrule podcast. This is a Legend of Zelda podcast where we will be discussing the lore, theories, and maybe do a little bit of speculating about the Legend of Zelda podcast. I am your host, Duncan, and we are joined by our co-host.
Hi, I'm Connor.
Or so he says. I don't know if I fully believe him. So, what is this podcast about, and what can you expect from it? So, for the most part, this is going to be a podcast, as I kind of previously stated, about the Legend of Zelda, but specifically kind of leaning into theorizing and speculating about it, because I feel like there's not a huge amount of podcasts that kind of specifically fall into like the theorization and speculation part of the franchise. So that's what we're going to mostly worry about here. As far as what you can expect, we'll be releasing the first 3 to 4 episodes as one batch, and then we'll be posting weekly from there. And then, in addition to that, you can expect each episode to run about 30 to 50 minutes, hopefully staying in that kind of 40 to 45 minute range. And each episode we will discuss a part of the franchise that we want to theorize or speculate about, whether that be, the mysteries of Snow Peak or Breath of the Wild's timeline placement in the franchise. And we will, of course, be doing a lot of theorizing and speculating. Now, one thing I feel that the franchise has kind of fallen into a rut to is very surface level theories, right? So, like, there's a whole lot of, I guess, Zelda lore tubers, but a lot of them only cover, like, the super surface level stuff, like the really obvious stuff. And we'll also kind of dabble in some of that. I'm more so interested in kind of deeper theorizing and speculating and stuff like that. So we're going to kind of be looking at a lot of evidence, speculating a lot, kind of twisting some ideas. And so I know there's a big notion in the Zelda franchise where a lot of people, for some reason, will get super stuck in their headcanons, or will be really against the theory because, oh, well, X game says it's not true. So, like, for example, when we're theorizing and speculating, please, be very, I guess, what's the word I'm looking here for?
Open-minded?
Yeah, be very open-minded, I guess, when we're speculating, because, yeah, one perfect example, I think, is, the Skyward is the Master Sword's creation, right? Because when we're looking at evidence, we're going to be pulling primarily from the games. And when I'm looking at evidence, I'm going to be taking what is visually seen on screen as 100% true. Like, that's canon. We see the Master Sword is created by Link. But in Skyward Sword, we see Link create the Master Sword. And so secondary pieces of evidence will be like dialogue or text. Like, for example, and if they contradict, then obviously what we see take place will take priority. Because, in Twilight Princess, they say the sages created the Master Sword. But that's just told to you. That's just spoken of. You don't see that. Whereas in Skyward Sword, you physically see it. So, we're going to be treating the Zelda history as if it was real. Stuff can get misinterpreted. Stuff can bend and change as time progresses. And so oral traditions and oral legends, should be taken with a grain of salt. And going into that, the books as well. I will be using the books for evidence. I will not be taking anything in the books as straight canon, though. As straight fact. Not only are the books retconned semi-frequently, they're also from a secondary source. They are not a primary source. Right? So, do you agree with all that, Connor?
I do agree with all that. Although I do have one question. When it comes from games, are we going to go, let's say we see something, like exactly with the Twilight Princess, are we going to be going from, if something's dated in a game chronologically beforehand, or like we see what happened, like with Link, how he forges the Master Sword and Skyward Sword, which takes place before Twilight Princess, but Twilight Princess came out beforehand?
I think primarily chronologically, because as for franchises evolve and grow, especially with a franchise this old, there is some old information that will be changed, or like, I don't want to say retconned because I don't think there's anything that's ever been like fully retconned in Zelda. I think there's only stuff that's been that's interpretation has changed throughout the years, like the Master Sword creation. Um, because for example, the creation of Hyrule, we always assumed the gods created Hyrule for not any reason in particular except for creation. But then Echoes of Wisdom teaches us that it was created to imprison Null. Was the original interpretation canon at the time? I believe it was 100%. There was I don't think they started with the idea that there was going to be Null, right? That was something that they added later down the line and kind of fit into the lore. And if some stuff has to be rearranged a little bit, then we'll take that into account. But that still, if there's like a solid counterpoint to something, we'll still bring that up.
All right. I was thinking just to clarify for anyone listening in.
Yeah. I think. Is there anything else that you think we should clarify?
I don't think so.
Oh yes, one more thing I do want to bring up, because this is a very speculative, very theory heavy podcast. We do a lot of speculating, a lot of theorizing. If you viewers have anything that you want to see us talk about, or that you want to see us speculate, or even just explain to you, maybe you just don't understand this thing in the lore, like, hey, how did the Master Sword get created? And you want us to just tell you that, you can either join our Discord, which will be linked in the description below, and you can ask a question in our questions chat, or you can email us at mysteriesofhyrule@gmail.com, which will also have a link in the description for you to copy and paste, and you can send us a question through there as well, and we will look through all the questions and we'll answer as many as we can, at least as many that we as reasonably can. That makes sense?
Yep.
Awesome. And of course, the questions don't all have to be about Zelda. Primarily, we'll be talking about Zelda. But if you ever want to, spin off the conversation in a slightly different way, keep it a little bit spicy every now and again, switch up what we're talking about every so often, that's completely fine too. If you want to ask what we think about Mario lore, I mean, I can tell you I don't know much about it, but I can tell you what I know.
That is Mario lore?
I don't know, maybe. I think the Mario lore is funny man goes through a pipe and finds a different world.
And universe reset every so often? I don't know.
Yeah, just every now and again, It doesn't hurt to change things up every now and again. Alright, so, with introductions out of the way, with the podcast is... Oh, one more thing I should probably add is where you can all listen to this podcast. The primary ones will be, obviously, YouTube and Spotify. Now, I don't know what all we'll have it available on as of right now. I have to see what all I can get it uploaded on, but hopefully we can get it on iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon Music, iPodcast, all that sort of stuff, right? So you should be able to find us everywhere.
Podcast.
Yeah, definitely got to hit iPodcast. But we'll be on as many platforms as we possibly can be, so you should always be able to find us. Alrighty, so I haven't let Connor talk a whole lot yet, and we kind of need to switch into actual Zelda-themed stuff. So, Connor, I'm going to ask you, what is the Legend of Zelda franchise to you? What does it mean to you? How did you discover the franchise?
So, the Legend of Zelda franchise was actually a very fun way I discovered it. I was probably like 5 years old. I don't remember how. When did Ocarina of Time 3D come out? That is actually a very important question that will determine.
Ocarina of Time 3D? Let me look it up real quick. No.
So it came out back in 2011. Okay, so I was, probably 5. Yeah, I would have been 5.
It sounds like we got into the franchise at very similar time periods.
My uncle gave me. I had a 3DS, and I took that thing everywhere. I loved it so much. My uncle, who was a big Zelda fan, Ocarina of Time was one of his favorite games. Majora's Mask is his actual favorite, but it's up there with him for him. He gifted that to me, and he told them it's one of his favorite games, and I was like, okay, I'm so excited, I only had like 5 games, so, I play. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, I have to play this. So even though the kid in me was a little dumb at video games,
As we all were.
It took me probably a year, 2 years to get out of the Great Deku Tree.
Oh, boy.
But, Yeah, I kept buying the Zelda games as I saw them because I was like, oh, I loved this one because like I don't. There's never really any games that I played where I could just like run around and do stuff and just like explore.
Nice. So Ocarina of
So it
Time
was just so much
was your
fun.
first game. That's kind of cool.
Yes, yes. And so I would bring it everywhere. It stayed in my case all the time.
Nice. And you've just been following the franchise ever since.
Yep.
Nice. That's a lot of fun. So, in your opinion, what are the major themes that the entire franchise, not just a specific game, but the whole franchise as a whole, is trying to convey?
I think the biggest one is the exploration. I mean, if you look back at Zelda 1, there's a little bit of story there with Zelda 1, but it's not the major focus. But the story is also probably another part, but it's not, I think, the main thing. Always
Yeah.
feel like the main thing with Zelda is the exploration, the secrets, the what happens if you do this, what happens there. I
Yeah.
think the exploration and trying things out is probably the biggest point, and especially with the new games, that's been
Oh, yeah.
really pushed with the new
Yeah,
games.
especially with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah,
I
and
would say,
Echoes of
and I would say,
Wisdom.
like, even in all the Zelda games, that is really enforced with, like, just, like, the amount of secret things you can do, whether that's,
Yeah,
like, cutting a sign in Skyward Sword, or finding a really random little interaction you can do
or burning of this random bush in Zelda 1 that you would never
yeah.
know how to burn, and it's required to burn for you to progress the game.
Oh, Zelda 1 sure was something.
One of the worst Zelda games in my opinion, but you know what?
You
That's my
mean one
hot
of the
take.
best.
No, that's Zelda 2, but that's a
I don't know about that
discussion
one.
for another day.
Well, we'll have a whole episode on on which one we prefer, Zelda 1 or Zelda 2, because I think we can
No,
easily make a whole episode on that.
I'm a little biased towards my opinion on Zelda 2, but
So, why is Zelda 2 your favorite of those two? Just real quick.
Zelda's 2. I think it has more fun exploration, more fun combat. The game itself just feels better than Zelda 1, even though it's harder. And also, it's my dad's favorite Zelda game, so I'm a little biased there because we've bonded over that game.
I think
So I'm
the
a little.
only thing, in my opinion, that I think Zelda 2 is better at is the music.
Whoa.
Okay, three things: music, dungeon design, and it's not as vague. So I will give.
Boom! Look at that! Look at that! See, you just admitted my Zelda 2 is better.
I didn't say
Finally.
it's better. I just said it's better at those specific three things.
The combat's better. There's more interest. The combat's more fun.
All right. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and answer some of my takes to the same question that I asked you.
Yeah, how
Um,
did you get into Zelda?
so how did I get into Zelda? So I was around it was around the same time as you. It's actually a very similar story, but a different game. So, it was around the same time. I was probably like 7 or 8. I was like a year or two older than you, so it would have been like 2012, 2013, around the period. Um, and I remember asking for a Wii U. The Switch hadn't come out yet. I think there was
What?
one trailer for. Oh, no, wait, the Switch. Yeah, the Switch hadn't been out yet. There was
The Switch came
one
out
or
in
two trailers for
2017.
Breath of the Wild, and I saw them. And little me didn't understand that game had not come out yet, so I was telling my parents, I want a Wii U and I want this game. And of course, that game didn't exist yet. So,
Yeah.
they got me and they didn't know the difference between a Wii and a Wii U, so they got me a Wii, and they couldn't figure out which Zelda game I wanted, so they got me Skyward Sword. And so I played Skyward Sword. Again, Tiny Me still didn't know the difference. I don't think he figured it out until like another trailer came out for the game, and it's like, oh, the game's not out yet. That makes sense. And so I played a ton of Skyward Sword, and I really liked it for a lot of the same reasons that you listed. Because up to that point, I mostly played. Well, not for the same reasons, because I played a lot of Minecraft and I played a lot of like the Lego games,
Yeah.
and
Me
so
too.
there was no. I didn't really have a game that was very puzzle focused and had a deeper narrative. And so that was really cool to me that this game that Skyward Sword was telling such a, even though I didn't fully understand it at the time, it was so cool that it was telling like a more deeper and emotional story. And so I remember I ran around. I spent like weeks running around just the Great Sky, or not the Great Sky, Skyloft. trying to figure out what to do and where to go and all that stuff. Eventually, I got all the way down to the surface, and I made it to the Skyview Temple, the first dungeon of the game. And very similar to your story. I got stuck in the Skyview Temple.
Was
for
it
like
the eye? Was it the eye guy?
It was the eye puzzle. Yes, it was.
Yeah. First time I played Skyward Sword, I was like, I've been at this for like 10 minutes. I'm just gonna look it up at this point.
I didn't know how. I didn't have internet access back then, so I couldn't look it up.
Yeah.
So I was just stuck. And
I didn't play Skyward Sword until the HD version came out.
I thought that you couldn't progress to that room. So I remember, like, for a whole year, and I'd play occasionally trying to figure out how to get past that dungeon. I'd be like, man, I can't get past it. So I'd go explore Faron Woods, and then I'd go explore Skyloft, because I always thought I was missing something. I could never figure it out. Until eventually, like, a year later, I randomly was just swinging my sword around the room and solved the puzzle on complete accident. Trying to kill a Keith or something.
Hey, I mean, at least you solved it.
Yeah. And from there on, I kind of I played through the game, as you normally do. I don't think I ever beat it until like 2018 though, until after Breath of the Wild came out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because that game was really hard for my little tiny 8-year-old brain.
Yeah, no, an 8-year-old Skyward Sword, especially the final boss in Skyward Sword.
Yeah. I think I did make it to the final boss before Breath of the Wild came out, and I think I just got stuck. Or maybe it was the Girahim fight. Because I couldn't.
Yeah, the final Girahim fight is crazy.
I think I got stuck on every single Girahim fight.
I beat the final Girahim fight with no shield. Because I didn't get the Hylian shield yet. Because I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I played through the entire
really
game here a couple years back with no shield, and that was really fun. But yeah, that's my experience. And after Skyward Sword, I played Breath of the Wild, and so Skyward Sword always has a special place in my heart for being the first Zelda game I ever played. I don't know if it's maybe like objectively the best Zelda game, but it's my favorite for that reason. And then of course my second Zelda game was obviously Breath of the Wild. I got that one like the year it came out, that Christmas. I got Breath of the Wild, and I played the hell out of that game.
Oh
I
goodness.
have
Same.
I have an unreasonable amount of hours on that game.
I have something like 500 to 600 in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I think I've got like 900 on Breath of the Wild. It's
Yeah,
insane. I played that game for years. I love that game. That game, if Skyward Sword may have been my first, but I think Breath of the Wild is the game that like solidified me as a Zelda fan, and that's the game that got me into the lore as well, which I also really respect it for. And so it's kind of funny that my favorite two games are Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild. That's like number 1 and number 2 for me, and they could not be more opposite.
But you know what? Fair's fair.
But yeah, ever since then, I'd basically just been playing every single Zelda game that that came out on the Switch, and then once I got super into the franchise, I went back and I did end up going back and buying a Wii U, playing a bunch of the backlog on there before the eShop closed down, playing a bunch of stuff on the NSO as well. And to this point now, the only Zelda game I have not played is, at least of the canon ones, is Triforce Heroes.
You're not missing out.
Yeah.
Because now you have to play single player, and the single player is booty cheeks.
Yeah, I think I'd rather just wait for them to re-release
I don't think they're going to, unless if they do local play. I have a 3DS, and I have Triforce Heroes. If you bought do you have a copy of Triforce Heroes?
No, I do not. I do not own a 3DS either.
Okay, I have 2 3DSs.
Yeah, I emulated a lot of the 3DS games so I could play them.
I do have a second 3DS because I'm curious, because I know 2 people can work. So if I pick up a copy when I come and visit you, we could.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Try.
But getting back onto topic, and I guess what the themes of the franchise are for me. I think the Zelda franchise as a whole has a lot of themes. I think there's a lot of correct answers for that, like exploration, story, that sort of stuff. I think if you were to ask me, not what like the overarching theme of it is, but like specifically what the narrative theme of the franchise is, I would say it's a bit on the darker side. I would personally say that the main narrative theme of the Zelda franchise is that we are doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past over and over again. And
yeah,
the reason I say that is because the whole Zelda franchise constantly deals with the theme of the past, the long buried, the long forgotten, coming back, and you having to deal with that, and in the process, you bury more for more future generations to have to deal with. And this has been a theme pretty much since the third game. I'd argue since the second game, because the second game is dealing with the events of the first game. But I think A Link to the Past is really what sets that kind of whole theme in motion, because you have Ganon, who is this figure in A Link to the Past, and already in A Link to the Past we have even more backstory that they sealed him away to try and get rid of him, and now in the current day we have to deal with the consequences of those actions. And then we seal him away again and again, and it's just this whole history of the world cannot escape its past. It is forever trapped by the flaws and the mistakes that they committed in the past. And I think Demise's curse is like the cherry on top for this. Like, it is just screaming that entire theme like directly in your face. That this world is doomed to repeat its mistakes forever.
I think that is actually fairly accurate, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the Zelda franchise is kind of like a warning to not repeat the mistakes of the past. And that is probably what I would say the narrative theme of the franchise is. Of course, there's other things you could say. Like, you could say it's about community. You could say it's about hope. You could say it's about light, fighting off the darkness, and those are all correct. But the only theme that repeatably comes back again and again and again and again is that one. That one has some sort of impact on every single plot of every single Zelda game. Because even in retrospect, Zelda 1 is about dealing with Ganon coming back again.
Yep. All mostly Ganon coming back.
Yeah. But not specifically Ganon either, because you can even look at Spirit Tracks. And Spirit Tracks are the same thing of, they founded the new kingdom, but they brought their past mistakes along with it. So even though they had a fresh start, because history was wiped, they had no way to prevent themselves from repeating those same mistakes. And so a new Demon King rose, and they just sealed it away immediately again. But yeah, I think that's what like the Zelda franchise means to us. What our first games were. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Connor? I mean, we're only at 20 minutes, so we can still ramble about some other stuff as well.
Oh man,
should we talk about the roadmap of what our first few episodes are going to be?
We could.
Yeah. So, obviously, y'all are listening to episode 1 right now, which is just going to be an introduction to the podcast, what the franchise means to us, that sort of stuff. Going into episode 2, through like episode 4 or 5, we're going to be doing a canonical breakdown of the timeline from how we currently know it as of recording. So we'll be going over, Null and the creation of Hyrule up to Ocarina of Time. Then we'll probably do an episode per timeline split. So, one episode on the downfall timeline and the decline of Hyrule. One episode on the child timeline and the decline of Hyrule. And then one timeline on the adult timeline and the decline of Hyrule.
Well, I would go more founding of New Hyrule.
Well, yeah, that one also has the decline of Hyrule, and then the founding of New Hyrule, and then we'll do an episode that will kind of start leaning more into the speculative and theory part, where we'll try and figure out where Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom take place exactly. And do keep in mind, while we're going over the timeline, there is still, to this day, a lot of gaps in the timeline that we don't know what happens, and so in parts that it's unclear, we'll probably speculate and theorize a bit. So even if you disagree with, what we state, keep in mind that, at the end of the day, we still are speculating where need be. Like, for example, if, we might disagree on where Age of Imprisonment takes place in the timeline, or how the Downfall timeline happened, stuff like that.
Yeah, we're not Aonuma, so don't take our word as fact.
We don't have the secret timeline that supposedly has all of the correct answers, which I don't think exists, to be completely honest.
No. Fujibayashi and Anuma are hiding that from us.
How dare they? We're going to go in. We have to go sneak into Nintendo headquarters, find it, and steal it for ourselves.
I guess we're going on the Japan trip together.
Yep. We're gonna get there. We're gonna steal it. We're gonna open the book, and it's just gonna be, I don't know, something like this, and then it's just gonna be like Link's Awakening after like Skyward Sword, and then there's gonna be like 8 timeline splits coming off of like specifically Twilight Princess, and it's just like, I don't know, making it up as we go.
Oh yeah, and Link's crossbow training.
Oh yeah, Link's crossbow training is like the pinnacle point in the timeline.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, it's actually more important to the plot than Ocarina of Time is.
It is. Ocarina of Time's not even important to the plot.
You know, that's one episode I want to do, is I feel like Ocarina of Time, at least the plot of it and how important it is to the lore, is super overrated. Which I think is going to probably piss off quite a few people. But I don't think Ocarina of Time is as important as we think it is. Sure, it is like the origin point of Ganondorf, or at least that Ganondorf, in his reign over Hyrule. But that plotline that Ocarina of Time starts, that, you know, ends at various points in different timeline splits, really only impacts a little bit less than half of the entire timeline.
I think Ocarina of Time, the only major thing from it is the timeline split.
Yeah, obviously the timeline split and Ganondorf, but other than those two things, it's not hugely important. It's kind of in the middle of the timeline as well. So it's got a lot of stuff before it.
No, I would not say in the middle. There's very few games before it.
Yeah, well, in the middle, as there's a lot of history before it, leading up to Ocarina of Time, and then a lot of history dealing with the consequences of it.
Well, then that sounds kind of important. I'm gonna be honest.
I mean, it is important. I don't think it's as important as people make it out to be. Right? Like, I would argue Skyward Sword is more important than Ocarina of Time. Narratively. Narratively, Skyward Sword sets up a lot more stuff than Ocarina of Time does.
Well, technically, Skyward Sword is the reason everything else happens because of the curse.
Yeah.
Like, the curse is the big thing. So
yeah, but
you're
like
not technically wrong. But I don't know if I don't know.
My point being that Ocarina of Time is not the most important game in the entire history of the. I'm not gonna say like actual outside like our world history, but like the in-universe history. I don't think it's the most important thing that ever happened. It's up there. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely up there, but I don't think it's like as omniscient in the narrative, especially the modern narrative, as people make it out to be.
Yeah.
Like especially the modern narrative with
the modern narrative is not. It is not.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time is like what, mentioned twice.
It is. I don't even remember it really being mentioned.
It's mentioned once during the ceremony.
Oh yeah, the ceremony.
And then the second one is the Zora talking about Ruto from Ocarina of Time.
Oh yeah.
Those are the only 2 times the events of
One's a very minor, brief mention that doesn't really matter too much, and then one is something that's kind of missable.
Yeah, entirely missable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something we'll talk about at some point. But is there anything else you kind of want to add to this episode, Connor?
I don't know. Nothing jumps out at me outside of maybe what's your favorite Zelda game.
Oh, what's my favorite? I think I kind of answered that already. I think my favorite is Skyward Sword, followed very closely by Breath of the Wild. I mean, depending on my mood, those switch back and forth. But how about you? What's your favorite Zelda game?
My favorite Zelda game. Oh, it's actually 3. You can't. But if I had to pick one, it would be Wand of Gamelon.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
You know what? That just made me realize my real favorite Zelda game is actually Link's crossbow training. How could I forget?
Ooh, so true. It's actually Breath of the Wild, but Wand of Gamelon,
Wand
you know.
Pretty good.
If you know. Wait, we should do a podcast episode. talking
on
about
the
the
CDI
games.
game. That'd be something. We
Yes,
should do a
we
podcast
should.
episode
We
on
should.
the Zelda TV show. That's the real
Oh,
best Zelda game.
yes! Yes! We have to. I haven't seen the full thing. I've never watched the full thing.
I have. I've watched the
I've
whole
watched
thing
a few
twice.
episodes.
I watched the
I've
whole
watched a
thing
few
once with my
episodes.
sister, and then I watched the whole thing again with my girlfriend.
Nice. It's not very long. It's only 12 episodes, I think.
Yeah, it's only 12 episodes. Each episode's like 20 minutes at most.
Yeah. That's what? 3 episodes is 1 hour, so what, 4 hours? It's 4 hours.
Yeah, it's not long at all.
No.
Both times I was able to get it done in like 2-3 sittings.
I mean, yeah, it came out with what? It came out when what? There was what? 3 games out? Did it come out
2
before
games,
Link
just
to the
the
Past?
first 2 games. Link to the Past hadn't even come out yet.
Yeah, I couldn't remember when the...
There's
show
still
came out.
what I love about the game is that that show is that there's still stuff they're drawing inspiration from. Like the bomb shields in Tears of the Kingdom were directly taken from the show. It's crazy how much that show is still impacting the series.
Dude, that show is awesome. That show is awesome.
It's so good. All right,
It is.
we are just about reaching time now though, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. So thank you everyone for watching the Mysteries of Hyrule podcast.
I think you mean listening, but you know. Close.
Well, yeah, same thing, only different. If y'all have any questions or anything you want us to talk about, again, feel free to check out our Discord in the description or email us at mysteriesofhyrule@gmail.com, which
And
is
that
also
is again,
right there
Mysteries
in
of
the
Hyrule
description.
@gmail.com.
Yes, sir. Alrighty, well, you all have a wonderful day, and we'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye.
Adios.